Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking something incredibly powerful from our source material. Think of it as your personal change agent toolkit for building a sustainable, resilient future. It literally lays out exactly how we can transition from just being passive observers to becoming the actual architects of a thriving planet. It's a super empowering concept, and it's all about global citizenship and taking real action. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're breaking these massive global topics down into 5 manageable steps. First, the triple planetary crisis. Second, rewiring economy and governance. Third, the digital environmental revolution. Fourth, local action, global impact. And finally, the global citizens pledge.
Section 1. The triple planetary crisis. This is the very first crucial tool in our toolkit, clearly defining the massive, interconnected stakes we're facing on a global scale.
So, to define our stakes, we have to look at the triple planetary crisis. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is that? Well, the source material points out that it's a set of deeply interconnected global threats. And here's the kicker. They are rooted in unsustainable consumption and production. These aren't just random, isolated events happening out of nowhere. No, they're distinct symptoms of a much larger systemic imbalance that we've got to address together.
Breaking this down, we're really dealing with 3 core components: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. Yeah, it's a heavy list, absolutely. But we have to look at it with a steady, objective gaze. We aren't here for doom and gloom today, right? We're just setting our baseline so we can focus entirely on constructive, informed problem solving. To tackle those monumental crises, we absolutely need global governance. But right now, global environmental governance, or GEG, is facing some massive fragmentation. And because things are so disjointed, it seriously struggles to implement the changes we desperately need on the ground. It's kind of like having a dozen cooks in a kitchen, and they're all reading from completely different recipe books.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how the source material charts a clear 5-step pathway to fix that exact fragmentation. It starts with leadership to drive decisive action, which of course has to be backed by authoritative knowledge and scientific data. That data brings coherence to help align those fragmented policies, which then leads to measurable performance. Ultimately, the goal is mainstreaming, basically integrating ecology into literally all sectors of our society.
Moving right along to Section 2, Rewiring Economy and Governance. We're shifting focus from the big problem to the systemic economic shifts we need for true resilience. We're talking about a night and day shift in how we do business. We literally have to move away from the outdated linear economy. You know, that old model of unsustainable production where we just make, use, and toss. It's wild to think that globally we consume over 100 billion tons of materials a year, and the vast majority is just thrown away. Our future relies entirely on a circular economy and green finance. This model completely reshapes business by focusing on the triple bottom line. That means a company values people, the planet, and profit equally, rather than just zooming in exclusively on financial gain. It's a total game changer.
And that brings us to Section 3, the digital environmental revolution. This is the next major tool in our Change Agents toolkit.
What's absolutely fascinating here is how the data and digital revolution is completely democratizing information. Advanced digital tools allow us to accurately monitor environmental health, analyze incredibly complex ecological data, and actually drive inclusive, data-driven solutions. It literally takes science out of the ivory tower and puts it directly in our hands. Everyday citizens like you and me now have the power to track, understand, and share crucial info about our environment in real time. How cool is that?
Let's look at Section 4, Local Action, Global Impact. So the crucial point is really bridging the gap between these massive global frameworks and your own individual agency.
Let's trace how a single everyday action actually scales up. Think of it like a ripple effect. Step 1 starts right at the grassroots level with citizen-led initiatives. Maybe it's starting a community garden or launching a local digital platform. Step 2 is when these individual efforts combine to become aggregated, localized environmental actions, or LEAs. And Step 3, that's where the magic happens. That aggregated local power actually ripples upward to directly influence global environmental governance and international sustainable development goals. Your neighborhood effort genuinely shapes the entire global outcome.
And this brilliantly illustrates what the source calls the systemic approach. To achieve actual, lasting sustainability, we need perfect balance. We've got to equally weigh environmental imperatives, social and community needs, and economic processes. You can't just sacrifice one for the other. It doesn't work that way. They must work in perfect harmony to actually chart a course
toward our desired future.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the Global Citizens Pledge. This is the culmination of our explainer, empowering you to fully step into your role as a global stakeholder, rather than just a consumer.
Being an agent of change isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a continuous, lifelong journey. First, it requires you to stay informed by constantly seeking out authoritative science and credible data. Never stop learning. Next, it asks you to engage actively by supporting those localized actions and sustainable businesses we just talked about. And finally, it demands that you advocate effectively. Leverage those digital platforms to inspire ethical leadership and action in others.
Now, let's be very clear about what we are facing here. The challenges are an urgent ticking clock. We really do not have time to waste. But, and this is the absolute key takeaway you should remember, the opportunities for innovation and collective action are immense. We are not without solutions. What we desperately need right now is the collective willpower and the dedicated effort of global citizens to actually bring those solutions to life.
Consider this your final blueprint for advocacy. The source material outlines a clear, powerful pledge. Listen to this. I will seek to understand the interconnectedness of global challenges. I will support localized actions. I will advocate for systemic change. I will use my knowledge and voice to contribute to a sustainable and just future for all. That, right there, is exactly how you become a dedicated agent of change.
The knowledge is in your hands, and the tools are officially in your toolkit. The future is yours to shape. So, how will you use your voice?